Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to yet another rant. And this time round, it's all about pay drivers in F1. So it's emerged over the last few days that Williams are considering Sirotkin to partner Lance Stroll in 2018 following an offer of around $15 million from the Russian to take that extra seat. And Williams appear to be considering it, which means the once great Williams F1 team are going to be hiring or potentially hiring two pay drivers next season. Why? Yeah, money, okay, that's fine, talk about money, but at the end of the day, surely, having a driver capable of picking up points is going to reward you with cash anyway in the Constructors' Championship. There are drivers out there that will not be on the grid in 2018 that should be there above a fair few drivers that are going to be on the grid in 2018. You look at the likes of Marcus Ericsson, Lance Stroll, possibly Sergei Sirotkin. Do they really deserve to be on the grid more than a Pascal Wehrlein, a Jean-Eric Vergne, an Oliver Rowland? I think not. I get that Williams need the extra income and I get that they struggle financially. They've had a really poor season. They were lucky to end up with fifth in the Constructors. They're going to struggle next year with McLaren being resurgent, but this could potentially shatter their reputation in Formula One if it isn't already smashed to pieces. Now, I know Niki Lauda was effectively a paid driver. Michael Schumacher and Fernando Alonso were as well. But they were drivers that were already considered exceptional talents. Now, I'm not saying that the drivers on the grid now, the paid drivers, weren't talented or aren't talented. They have to be. No amount of money can get you a seat if you can't drive a racing car. That's just fact. But where Niki Lauda borrowed money against his life insurance or Michael Schumacher's manager paid for him to get into the lower formula, onto the ladder to Formula One, Lance Stroll goes running to daddy and says, please, can I borrow some money so I can go racing, please? I don't think so. Come on, seriously. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to say this about Lance Stroll, and I see it actually on Discord quite a lot, and I've seen it in the comment section. If he'd had a season in F2, GP2, whatever you want to call it, you could probably argue he'd deserve a seat. But the fact that he's just gone straight in with his checkbook to a meeting with Williams and said, this is what I can offer you, or this is what daddy can offer you, give me a seat. And they've gone, oh yeah, wicked, we've got some money coming in. Nah, no thanks. If you're going to do that, maybe see if you take a little bit less money and make him reserve driver and then pop him into F2. Do you know what I mean? Give them a chance to develop. We had this with Pastor Maldonado. He, once again, wasn't a terrible driver. Yes, I just said that. He is a race winner. He won the GP2 title, something the likes of Charles Leclerc have done. Four-time world champion Lewis Hamilton did it as well, won the GP2 title. And I'm not comparing Pastor Maldonado to Leclerc and Hamilton because he was pretty dire despite his race win once he got to F1, because to be fair, really, he won the Spanish Grand Prix, but that is all he did. But the point I'm making is he had some pedigree when he came to Formula One. It was just the money really helped him. It's modern day F1's relationship with pay drivers that I take the biggest problem with. Just to list a few of the recent ones: Will Stevens, Rio Haryanto, Lance Stroll, Felipe Nasr, Marcus Ericsson, Jolyon Palmer. Where in there do you see a racing driver that deserves to be in Formula One? Yes, they absolutely had pedigree before they made it to F1, but it was their sponsors and their checkbooks that got them there quicker than others, and that is not right, and it is certainly not fair. But what really bugs me and really gets my back up is that you could be, as a driver, you could have the most incredible year. You could win race after race. You could win the F2 title, whatever. You could be one of the best up-and-coming stars in motorsport. Yet you could miss out on a seat in F1 because Mr. finished third in the championship a long way off you turns up with a checkbook and gets the seat over you. That just does not seem right. It's not right. It's not that it doesn't seem right. It just isn't right. I want to see the world's best drivers on the grid going head to head. That's what I want to see. I want to see, at the minute, 20, but I'd like to see 24, 26, drivers on the grid would be great, and they're all there on merit. I don't want a bunch of Esteban Gutierrez's or Marcus Ericsson's or Felipe Nasr's that are just there because their sponsors pay for them to be there or daddies paid for them to be there. F1 sells itself as the pinnacle of motorsport, and yeah, to be fair, that's something that they're going to have to really sort out soon because they're falling away from that rapidly. But if you've got a grid dominated by paid drivers, it's not the pinnacle of motorsport. Not at all. Maybe technologically, I guess, but not really in terms of the talent on the grid. Again, I get why teams take on pay drivers. Teams like Manor, it's amazing they survived as long as they did, but it's because of pay drivers like Rio Haryanto, for example, that kept them afloat. A similar story with Sauber. Force India as well. They've got Sergio Perez, who is effectively a paid driver because he brings the sponsorship. Before they became a top 4 team as they are now, they were really struggling financially. And I would probably bet they're still struggling now despite that. I mean, they're in a damn better shape financially than they were, but, they're still going to be struggling. They're a midfield team. They're an independent outfit. So I guess what I'm saying is cost cutting in F1 could potentially help. I mean, on paper, if a team's costs have come down, they're not going to need to have drivers paying for seats, in theory, again. But at the end of the day, these teams are businesses as well. So if you have the chance of your costs coming down by $30 million and Sergei Sirotkin, for example, turns up with $15 million, teams are still going to look at that as, hey, I'm $45 million up here. You know, it's a business as well. So I don't even think cost cutting is going to solve the problem. And yeah, as I've touched on, there have been drivers that have paid to get onto the ladder that have become massively successful. Schumacher, Lauda, for example. And again, Sergio Perez, not massively successful, but a decent driver who got his seat through sponsorship. But for every one of those, there are, 5, 10 examples of drivers that are just truly dreadful and should never have been in F1, whatever money they could offer. And I genuinely worry for some of the potential stars coming through, like your Oliver Rowlands, your Lando Norrises, your Artem Markelovs, all of those fantastic drivers in F2 that we've watched this season and just genuinely loved watching race. Euro F3, again, some incredible talent in there, but I fear for them and their chances of a future in Formula 1 and success within the series. Not because of a lack of talent, but because they haven't got the big bucks to buy a seat with a team that they need to get into. Yeah, okay, you could say Lando Norris, he's on McLaren's radar, he's got a great shot, but Ollie Rowland, okay, yes, another British driver, but he should be given that seat over Sirotkin by a million miles at Williams. If you're going to give Sirotkin a seat because he's got money, again, like I said about Stroll earlier, put him in a reserve driver role. It's just wrong that these guys put so much effort and passion and push so hard to compete against such incredible young drivers just to get noticed by F1 teams. They end up right on the cusp and then somebody comes in with a bit of cash. It should be talent that gets you a seat in motorsport or in the top tier of motorsport. It should not be money. But unfortunately, and this is not exclusive to Formula 1, it's just sport in general, the way it's going is it's all just going to come down to cash anyway. It just genuinely worries me for the sport and for the drivers, the young drivers, that the next Sebastian Vettel, the next Max Verstappen, the next Lewis Hamilton will miss out on their chance in F1 because the next Marcus Ericsson's come along or the next Lance Stroll's come along. And to kind of bring it back round full circle to the start of the video, Ericsson, Stroll, Sirotkin over Wehrlein? Nah, I'm not having that. I'm not. It's just wrong. Pascal Wehrlein should 100% be on the grid next season. And it's a complete disgrace that he isn't, or potentially isn't going to be. And I hope that this whole Williams seat thing, maybe they are trying to do a deal with Martini. I know there are some people saying, and there are rumours that Martini are quite happy to have a driver under 25 if the deal's right for them. But as far as I know, officially the clause in the contract still states they want a driver over the age of 25. So whether that's a sticking point and they are trying to get Wehrlein, whether they're trying to negotiate a better deal with Mercedes so they can get cheaper or free engines. If it turns out that Williams are genuinely trying everything to get Wehrlein in the seat and they can't because they can't afford him, then, I guess I sort of apologise to Williams for that in a way. But if you've got Pascal Wehrlein in the seat and you're picking up points and you're challenging for top 4 in the constructors, you're going to get more prize money and sponsors are going to be more attracted to you as a team, so you're going to bring in money that way. So I'd much rather have 2 brilliant drivers and give Sirotkin or Lance Stroll the reserve seat and then maybe pop them into F2 or something like that and bring the money in other ways, like I say, through sponsorship and prize money. But unfortunately, outside of maybe the top 4 teams, as in Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull and McLaren, for the rest of the field, the fight to win and the fight to be the best has just simply become a fight for survival. And that's why we have the situation we have with pay drivers. And I cannot ever envisage a future where this will go away. If anything, I could confidently predict it's going to get worse. And it won't be long before Sauber, Haas, Williams, Force India, maybe even Toro Rosso. Perhaps if they start struggling for money again, Renault will end up with a paid driver in at least one of their seats. And if you look at the current grid, as it stands right now, we could lose some proper serious talent in the midfield in the coming years. And that's a genuine concern. As I say, I see both sides of the argument quite clearly. But as a fan of F1, a fan of motorsport, I just want to see the best drivers on the grid fighting it out for whatever position that will be. Even if it's 2 Saubers at the back of the grid, scrapping for last place, I don't care. So long as they are 2 drivers that deserve to be in that seat, not drivers that have paid to be there. But that is all just one man's ranty opinion. But what do you guys think? Do you like the idea of pay drivers in Formula 1? And who do you want to see racing for Williams next year? Let me know in the comment section down below. I will be back later in the week as ever with more content. But in the meantime, don't forget to follow me on social media. Links to Facebook, Twitter and Discord are all in the description down below. But as ever, guys, thank you so much for watching. I've been Sean. This has been the F1 Word. And until next time, goodbye.